Hey BookTube, Science Fiction Reads here with a list of 5 authors or books that I want to try out in 2022. Authors I haven't, with the exception of the first on the list here, authors I have not read yet. And I came up with this idea about a month ago. So technically this is kind of cheating because the first on my list is Michael Moorcock, who I've already, and now I've just begun and my cat is already messing around. Michael Moorcock, who I've only just recently started reading his first Quorum trilogy, which I should wrap up tonight or tomorrow. And I really like this stuff. I have the first 3 here of the Elric stories, of which there are many, and I have acquired a decent amount of Moorcock books in the last couple days. I'm gonna have a book haul video, I guess sometime next week, in which I'll show those off. So Moorcock was the first on my list, and I'm enjoying it. Well, first of all, I was appealed to his the fact that a lot of his stories, if not the majority of them, are all kind of connected in one universe, the Eternal Champion stories. So I like that, and I'm enjoying the Quorum books. I like how there's very little in there that doesn't immediately progress the plot. So they're short, quick books, lots of action. Not necessarily time traveling, but hopping around different planes of existence, fighting gods. It's good stuff. And I'm sure at some point this year, I'll move on to the Elric stories and some of the other books I have, which I'll show off. Next on my list, someone who I wanted to read for about a year now. And I don't know if I think I've heard his name once or twice on BookTube. That's A.A. Hattanazio, specifically his Radex series, which I think it's called, I think it's just the Radex books. There's 4 in the series. I have all 4 here. Radex, In Other Worlds, and I believe you could read these as standalones. They're all loosely connected, Arc of the Dream, and the last one, The Last Legends of Earth. I know the first book is about an unappealing, kind of loserish teenager who eventually goes on to be well, goes from a nobody to a god kind of thing. So these are like science fantasy. I think there's some cyberpunk elements. If you read the description to these, they just sound absolutely wild. They have nice cover art too. This is a Corgi edition from 1982. Doesn't say who did the artwork though. So yeah, I wish I could describe these better. I just know they're wild, and he's a pretty out there author with some crazy ideas, some genre bending, existential stuff, I think. I don't think they're the easiest reads. I could easily see myself getting halfway through the first book and saying this is not for me, which would be unfortunate, but we'll see. I want to try him later this year. I don't know if I'd get through all 4 books, but certainly these books and this author definitely appeal to me. All right, number 3 on my list, and I don't intend for this to be a long video. This author's been probably on my list of people to read as long as anyone else. One of the first authors I started reading in science fiction was Alastair Reynolds, and I think in the back of his collection of short stories, Galactic North, he mentions this author as one of 2 who influenced him, and both his authors actually are on this list. And so here's the first one, Cordwainer Smith. So I've wanted to read him for a long time. And again, and this is a theme of mine, I like future histories where the author has multiple works in the same universe. And this is one of the first guys to do it, right? Like I like Asher, Banks, stuff like that. Reynolds, a lot of his stuff's in the same universe. So I have the best of Cordwainer Smith here, and actually, I don't know what I'd like to read first. I can't remember. This is another short story collection. of space lords with beautiful cover art, uncracked spine, although somebody's written on it. So yeah, high on my list. Not sure what I'll read of his first, but definitely checking out his work this year. All right, fourth on my list, not that these are in any particular order, is James Tiptree Jr. I'm ashamed to say I've read nothing by her, unless I read a short story in a collection years ago, which is actually highly possible, but I don't remember. This is one of only 2 novels she wrote, because she's well known for short stories, of course, and writing under a pseudonym and hiding her gender for, I think, decades. But she's an important figure in the history of science fiction. And actually, this is her second novel. I would rather read her first novel, which is, Up the Walls of the World, I think? Let me confirm. Yep, Up the Walls of the World, which is kind of an alien race tries to attack Earth using telepathy, and there's a group of scientists on Earth trying to contact them or something. But the more appealing part of the story is there's a third party, which is like an interstellar intelligence that's distributed across different nodes, so it's really dispersed. And I've read a couple stories where characters or creatures or beings like that exist. They're always exciting. I think Stephen Baxter might have wrote a character like that or a creature like that. Brightness Falls from the Air also sounds good. It's about a group of a handful of people who get together on an isolated planet to watch the passing of a nova front from a supernova, and you eventually find out the backstory of all of these characters, and I think it's kind of a mystery, actually. So that appeals to me a little less than the more space opera-ish. I doubt her other novel is space opera-ish, but it sounds good. But if I want to read her, I'm going to have to find some short... Oh, I do have a short story collection of hers also, but I'd rather start with her first novel. Yeah, I had one of her books in a recent haul of mine, paperback. So I have that too, but I'm definitely going to try her first novel first. Last but not least is another recommendation, I think from the back of that collection of short stories, Galactic North by Alistair Reynolds. I should have just checked, it would have taken 2 seconds. But I think that's where I got this recommendation. For Bruce Sterling, known for his cyberpunk. How would you pronounce this? Schismatrix? Schismatrix Plus. This is his novel of the same name, but it also collects all short stories in this future history of his. Again, we have a future history of around 350 years in the future, or at least it covers that amount of time. And humanity's fractured into, people who are still on Earth and kind of a post-human society out in the solar system called the Schismatrix? I've wanted to read this forever. Obviously it's nice to have the short stories collected with the novel, but I wanted an actual copy of the book, first edition, just because it has really cool cover art. It's just a beautiful book, but it's kind of expensive, and I found this somewhere finally after having it in mind for years. So it's about time I check out Bruce Sterling, specifically this novel and this collection, because it heavily influenced Alistair Reynolds with his Conjoiner Society and his Ultras and all that. So that's also on the list. And also just an honorable mention, although, this author should be higher up on this list. Again, not that they're in any order, but I was just looking at my shelves and I noticed, I forgot I had this, a collection of J.G. Ballard's stories. Again, ashamed. I have not read anything by J.G. Ballard. I want to read The Drowned World, which is probably one of the earlier novels dealing with global warming and the results of that in the future. So there's 5 or 6 authors that I want to try this year. And ultimately, I guess, I hadn't really thought about it until now, make a video at the end of the year kind of wrapping up my experience with whatever I end up reading by these 5 to 6 authors. And I could do another video, 5 more after that, easily. I have lots of key authors from the history of science fiction that I'd like to get around to reading. Some of them have been on my shelves for years. So yeah, that's that. I got another video coming out later this week, kind of a book haul, and at which point I'll probably also mention how I fared with the Quorum trilogy by Michael Moorcock, which I'm enjoying, and I'm nearly done. I've been busy, so it's taken too long to, should have read it by now, but I do like those books. They're nice and short and fast-paced and lots of action. So yeah, that's that. As always, thanks for watching.